Hi guys, let's read the Science and Technology section of the 12th series of ALS Current Affairs 2019-2020. So the first topic is COBAS 6800 testing machine. So why was this in the news? Recently, the Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare dedicated the COBAS 6800 testing machine to the nation. This is the first such testing machine that has been procured by the government for testing of COVID-19 cases and is installed at the National Center for Disease Control. Our country has now developed a capacity to conduct 1 lakh tests per day and has tested nearly 20 lakh tests for COVID-19, mark at more than 500 laboratories. COBAS 6800. Okay, so our country has now developed a capacity to conduct 1 lakh tests per day and has tested nearly 20 lakh tests for COVID-19 mark at more than 500 laboratories. It is a fully automated high-end machine for performing real-time PCR testing COVID-19 in the service of the nation. It is a sophisticated machine enabled with robotics that minimizes the chance of contamination, so it reduces the chance of contamination as well as the risk of infection to the healthcare workers, since it can be operated remotely with limited human intervention. As the machine requires a minimum BSL-2 plus biosafety level containment level for testing, it cannot be placed at just any facility. So what are its significance? It will provide quality, high volume testing with a high throughput of around 1200 samples in 24 hours. It will largely increase the testing capacity with reduction in pendency. The COBAS 6800 can also detect other pathogens like viral hepatitis B and C, HIV, MTB, both rifampicin and isoniazid resistance, papilloma, CMV, Chlamydia, Neisseria, etc. So the COBAS 6800 can also detect other pathogens like viral hepatitis B and C, HIV, MTB, both rifampicin and isoniazid resistance, papilloma, CMV, chlamydia, Neisseria, etc. Polymerase chain reaction (PCR). It is done after taking nasal or throat swabs of the patient, from which RNA is extracted and converted to DNA, which is then amplified before being checked for confirmation of the virus. Report comes after 9 hours. Early detection of disease is possible as it is a standard test for COVID-19 identification and not dependent on antibodies formation. More efficient as it ensures certainty of disease. So it's more efficient. Now let's come to the next topic, that is electrochemical sensing platform. The researchers at the Institute of Advanced Study in Science and Technology IASST Guwahati developed an electrochemical sensing platform on May 22, 2020. It is aimed at detecting carcinogenic or mutagenic compound and nitrosodimethylamine or amine NDMA and nitrosodiethanolamine NDEA found in food item like cured meat, bacon, some cheese and low-fat milk. So it is aimed at detecting carcinogenic or mutagenic compound and methylamine, NDMA and nitrosodiethanolamine, NDEA found in food items like cured meat, bacon, some cheese and low-fat milk. The detection was achieved by developing a modified electrode by immobilizing carbon nanomaterials, carbon dots in DNA. The scientists have fabricated an electrochemical biosensor using DNA immobilized on the surface of carbon dots for sensitive and selective detection of and nitrosamine. The electrochemical biosensor platform was developed using the ability of NDMA and NDEA to alter the DNA. Both NDMA and NDEA alters the chemical structure of DNA present in the electrode, making it more conducting, which ultimately results in the increased current peak. So what happens is that both NDMA and NDEA alters the chemical structure of DNA present in the electrode, making it more conductive, which ultimately results in the increased current peak. Now let's come to the next topic, that is Tianwen-1 mission. So why was this in the news? India's space program is now slated to achieve a new milestone. In July, the country will launch its first Mars mission, the Tianwen-1, which is expected to land on the red planet's surface in the first quarter of 2021. The mission is named after the ancient Chinese poem Questions to Heaven, the Tianwen-1. It is an all-in-one orbiter, lander and rover will search. Okay, so it is an all-in-one orbiter. Lander and rover will search the Martian surface for water, ice, investigate soil characteristics, and study the atmosphere, among completing other objectives. It will carry 13 payloads, 7 orbiters, and 6 rovers that will explore the planet. It will be the first to place ground-penetrating radar on the Martian surface, which will be able to study local geology as well as rock, ice, and dirt distribution. China's previous Yinghuo 1 Mars mission, which had piggybacked on a Russian spacecraft, had failed after it could not leave the Earth's orbit and disintegrated over the Pacific Ocean in 2012. Why all are curious about Mars exploration? After the Moon, the most number of space missions in the solar system has been to Mars. Despite being starkly different in many ways, the rate the red planet has several Earth-like features such as clouds, polar ice caps, canyons, volcanoes, and seasonal weather patterns. For ages, scientists have wondered whether Mars can support life. In the past few years, Mars missions have been able to discover the possible presence of liquid water on the planet, either in the subsurface today or at some point in its past. This has made space explorers more curious about whether the planet can sustain life. Newer NASA missions have since transitioned from their earlier strategy of follow the water to seek signs of life. Now let's come to the next topic, that is responsible artificial intelligence AI for youth. The government on 30th May 2020 launched a national program for the youth, namely Responsible Artificial Intelligence AI for Youth. The government also launched India's National Artificial Intelligence Portal called www.ai.gov.in. National Artificial Intelligence Portal. The portal has been jointly developed by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and National Association of Software and Services Companies, NASSCOM. The portal will work as a one-stop digital platform for sharing of resources such as articles, startups, investment funds in AI resources, companies, and educational institutions related to AI in India. It will also share documents, case studies, research reports, etc. It also has a section about learning and new job roles related to AI. Responsible AI for Youth program. The program is designed to reach out to students from government schools pan India and provide them with an opportunity to become part of the skilled workforce in an inclusive manner. It aims to help reduce the skill gap while enabling youth to create meaningful social impact solutions. It also intends to provide a platform for relevant AI skill sets and access to required AI tool sets to make youth digitally ready for the future. The program has been created and launched by the Ministry of Electronics and IT in collaboration with Intel India with support from the Ministry of Human Resource Development. The national program is open to students of classes 8 to 12 from central and state government run schools, including KVS, NVS, JNV, from across the country. The program will be implemented in a phase-wise manner, and in its first phase, each state will nominate 10 teachers as per the eligibility criteria. These teachers will be provided sessions aimed to help them understand the premise and identify 25 to 50 potential students for the program. The identified students will attend online training sessions on AI and will learn to identify social impact projects that may be created using AI. Further, top 20 innovative projects will be selected by an independent committee of experts and provided opportunities to showcase at relevant platforms. The launch of the program will help to develop the base for artificial intelligence in the country. India's AI approach will also help for inclusion and empowerment of human beings by implementing growth and development specifically in the field of education, agriculture, healthcare, e-commerce, finance, telecommunications, etc. Thus, introduction of the responsible AI for youth. program is expected to find innovative long-term solutions which will help to reduce the existing digital gap in the country. Artificial intelligence (AI) describes the action of machines accomplishing tasks that have historically required human intelligence. It includes technologies like machine learning, pattern recognition, big data, neural networks, self algorithms, etc. Now let's come to some examples. Facebook's list of suggested friends for its users, a pop-up page telling about an upcoming sale of the favorite brand of shoes and clothes that comes on screen while browsing the internet are the work of artificial intelligence. AI involves complex things such as feeding a particular data into the machine and making it react as per the different situations. Now let's come to the next topic, that is CLADE or A3I type of coronavirus. It should be clade 1. A3I type of coronavirus. The recent study, scientists from the CSIR laboratories have identified a new coronavirus type, clade 1 or A3I. This virus is different from the virus which is prevalent in other parts and may be the second most prevalent of the world, with a probable prevalence of 3.5% globally. Since the outbreak of the novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, scientists across the globe are involved in genome sequencing in order to study the mutations in the novel virus. Since the outbreak, 11 types of novel virus SARS-CoV-2 have been identified globally, with at least 6 of them identified in India. According to the ICMR, there are three principal variants of the novel SARS-CoV-2 virus in India: those that came from Wuhan, the US, and Europe via air travelers. Recent discovery: the new genetic difference has been named clade 1 or clade 1 hyphen A3I. So the new genetic difference has been named clade A3I. It is a unique trait in the genetic structure of the novel coronavirus found in India and was found in 41% of the genome sequences. It is a unique trait in the genetic structure of the novel coronavirus found in India and was found in 41% of the genome sequences done on the virus collected from Indian patients. The new coronavirus type, clade, is a cluster of SARS-CoV-2 viruses that traces its probable roots to outbreak in February 2020, share evolutionary similarities, and are grouped together based on characteristic mutations or similarities in parts of their genomes. This virus strain is predominantly circulating in Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Maharashtra, and Delhi, as observed after sequencing of 64 genomes available from different states. In this new clade, there has been a very little mutation in the important areas of the viral genome. What is clade? It is a taxonomic group of organisms classified together on the basis of homologous features traced to a common ancestor. In terms of epidemiology, clade can be understood as a strain of the virus. Why the genome sequencing of a virus is important. Genome sequencing of a virus is a useful tool for better understanding of virus pathogenicity and epidemiological surveillance. Virus genome sequence helps to identify unique genetic changes shared by all those infected in a single virus transmission chain and can be used to distinguish between different clusters of cases. It helps in studying any mutations and variations in the strain of the virus over a period of time, which subsequently assist in vaccine development. Now let's come to the next topic, that is Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna ANITA. Recently, an experiment of NASA has indicated that there is a possibility of a parallel universe. The experiment was part of Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna ANITA. The ANITA instrument is a radio telescope to detect ultra high energy cosmic ray neutrinos from a scientific balloon flying over the continent of Antarctica. It is the first NASA observatory for neutrinos of any kind. It detects the ultra-high energy neutrinos by use of the Askaryan effect, and this effect predicts the production of a coherent radio emission from the cascade of particles produced in a high-energy particle interaction. So what are neutrinos? Neutrinos. A neutrino is a subatomic particle that is very similar to an electron but has no electrical charge and a very small mass, which might even be zero. Neutrinos are of great interest to astrophysicists as they are the only particle that can reach Earth unattenuated at all energies. They are particularly of interest at high energies where other particles and photons will interact with the photons of the microwave background, making them unable to propagate and survive over long astrophysical distances. Now let's come to the next topic, that is electrolytic splitting of water. So why was this in the news? Scientists from the Center for Nano and Soft Matter Sciences (CENS) and Autonomous Institute of the Department of Science and Technology have found out a low-cost and efficient way to generate hydrogen from water using molybdenum dioxide as a catalyst. Electrolytic splitting of water. Electrolysis of water is the decomposition of water into oxygen and hydrogen gas due to the passage of an electric current. This technique can be used to make hydrogen gas, the main component of hydrogen fuel, and breathable oxygen gas, or can mix the two into oxyhydrogen, which is also usable as fuel, though more volatile and dangerous. It is a promising method to generate hydrogen but requires energy input that can be brought down in the presence of a catalyst. Using molybdenum catalyst, the scientists have shown that molybdenum dioxide MOO2 nanomaterials annealed in hydrogen atmosphere can act as efficient catalyst to reduce the energy input to bring about water splitting into hydrogen. Molybdenum dioxide has the potential to replace the currently employed catalyst platinum, which is expensive and has limited resources. Molybdenum dioxide is a conducting metal oxide that is one of the low-cost catalysts with good efficiency and stability for hydrogen evolution. The catalyst is highly stable for a larger duration of reaction with sustained hydrogen evolution from water. About 80% efficient conversion of electrical energy into hydrogen has been achieved using this catalyst. Significance: hydrogen is considered as the future of clean and sustainable energy as it can be generated from water and produces water on energy generation without any carbon footprint. Hydrogen can be directly used as a fuel similar to natural gas or as input for fuel cells to generate electricity. It is the future energy for a clean environment and an alternative to fossil fuels, underlining the necessity of low-cost catalyst for its production. Now let's come to Aditya, India's first solar-powered ferry. India's first solar-powered ferry, Aditya, has been shortlisted for the Gustav Trove Award as the only entrant from Asia. Aditya has been an icon on the Vaikom Thavanakadavu route in Kerala for being the first solar-powered ferry in the country. The ferry was built by Naval Solar and Electric Boats Kochi and is currently being operated by the Kerala State Water Transport Department KSWTD. It is a 75-seater boat fitted with 78 rooftop solar panels with a maximum speed of 7.5 knots without any noise and minimal vibration. The per kilometer energy cost of Aditya is low. It operates 22 trips a day carrying 75 passengers per trip, covering a total distance of 66 km with just rupees 180 per day energy cost. Till now, the ferry has transported 11 lakh passengers, covering a distance of 70,000 with a zero carbon footprint. Gustav Trove Awards. Gush's Electric Boat Awards was instituted in memory of Gustave Trove, a French electrical engineer and pioneer in electric cars and boats. Trove was a prolific inventor with over 75 patents, and he developed a 5-meter long prototype electric boat way back in 1881. There are 3 award categories, one for electric boats up to 8 meter in length, electric boats more than 8 meter long, and electric ferry boats, that is passenger boats. Aditya has been listed in the electric ferry boats, that is the passenger boats category for the award. Now let's come to the next topic, that is light detection and ranging. LiDAR, LIDAR in archaeology. So light detection and ranging, LiDAR in archaeology. A team of archaeologists from the UK analyzed thousands of images derived from light detection and ranging LiDAR without visiting sites during the COVID-19 lockdown. Data from the airborne survey was used in these studies and analysis. The research team is currently studying the Tamar Valley, a rich archaeological landscape with many sites belonging to the Iron Age and Roman era, with a future plan to study other areas like Bodmin Moor and Dartmoor, Plymouth, and Barnstaple, covering 4,000 square kilometers approximately. They have also located around 20 prehistoric burial mounds. So they have located around 20 prehistoric burial mounds remains of hundreds of medieval farms and a few quarries. The images are taken during aerial surveys and then the vegetation and buildings are removed from the map to take a closer look at the land surfaces for the study and further analysis. Indian scenario. LiDAR technology has immense potential for India in the field of archaeology. It has not been used significantly for archaeological purposes in India because the data needs to be processed by experts, which might be expensive. It will help in understanding domestic architecture and defensive architecture like moats and fortifications of any ancient site, example Saurashtra temple city named Ghumli. LiDAR. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging and is basically a remote sensing method that uses light in the form of a pulsed laser to measure distances to the subject. The light pulses, along with other data, generate accurate, high resolution three-dimensional information of the object. There are two types of LiDAR, namely topographic and bathymetric. Topographic LiDAR typically uses a near-infrared laser to map the land, while bathymetric LiDAR uses water-penetrating green light to also measure sea floor and riverbed elevations. So what are its uses? This technology is used to map the land and also to measure sea floor and riverbed elevations, etc. Aeroplanes and helicopters are the most commonly used platforms for acquiring LiDAR data over broad areas. It has changed the face of archaeology by making it possible to measure and map objects and structures that might otherwise remain hidden due to vegetation or construction, etc. So, what are the challenges? LiDAR can't perform well in fog, rain, snow, and dusty weather. Now, let's come to this figure. So we have here GPS. The GPS gives the precise location of the scanner. This is the GPS base station. So we have the GPS base station. Then we have IMU. So IMU, inertial measurement unit, gives the precise orientation of the scanner. Then in this portion we have the laser scanner emits infrared pulses. So these are the infrared pulses which reflect off the surface. So it's going to be reflect off the surface of the earth and objects on it. The returned pulses are captured and recorded, and so the returned pulses, they are going to be captured and recorded. Okay, so now let's come to the next topic, that is the Gateway Lunar Orbiting Outpost. Recently, the NASA has finalized the contract to design the Habitation and Logistics Outpost (HALO) for its Gateway Lunar Orbiting Outpost. The Habitation and Logistics (HALO) support for the Gateway is a part of NASA's Artemis program that aims to send the first women and the next man to the moon by 2024. Key points: Habitation and Logistics Outpost. It refers to the pressurized living quarters where astronauts will spend their time while visiting the Gateway. These quarters will be about the size of a small apartment and will provide augmented life support together with Orion spacecraft. Now let's come to the Gateway. The NASA has targeted the completion of the Gateway. So the NASA has targeted the completion of the Gateway for 2026 while work on the spaceship is already underway. The Gateway can be used at least once per year, and astronauts cannot stay around a year like they do on the International Space Station ISS. Once docked to the Gateway, astronauts will be able to stay there for 3 months at a time. Compared to the ISS, the Gateway is much smaller. So, what are its significance? Number one, it will act as an airport where spacecraft bound for the lunar surface of Mars can refuel or replace parts and resupply things like food and oxygen, allowing astronauts to take multiple trips to the lunar surface and exploration of new locations across the moon. Number two, by studying the geology of the Earth, the Moon, and Mars, the three planetary bodies, and the ways in which they are similar with different they're in the ways. Okay, so by studying the geology of the Earth, the Moon, and Mars, the three planetary bodies, and the ways in which they are similar and different from each other, it would give a sight about how planets and planetary systems form. Number three, significantly, Gateway would work as a science platform to look back at the Earth, observe the Sun, and get unobstructed views of the vast universe. Now let's come to the Artemis. It is a screwed Okay, so it is a crewed spacecraft. So Artemis, it is a crewed space flight program of NASA. So it is a crewed space flight program of NASA that has the goal of landing the first women and the next men on the moon, specifically at the lunar South Pole region by 2024. It is a key step towards the long-term goal of establishing a sustainable presence on the moon, laying the foundation for private companies to build a lunar economy and eventually sending humans to Mars. Now let's come to Orion spacecraft. It is being developed by the NASA. It is a powerful advanced launch vehicle for a new era of human exploration beyond Earth's orbit. It is designed to take astronauts to deep space destinations such as the moon and Mars. So let's come to Gateway Lunar Orbit Outpost. The Gateway is a small spaceship that will orbit the moon, meant for astronaut missions to the moon and later for expeditions to Mars. It will act as a temporary office and living quarters for astronauts distanced at about 250,000 miles from Earth. The spaceship will have living quarters, laboratories for science and research, and docking ports for visiting spacecraft. One of the most unique features of the Gateway is that it can be moved to other orbits around the moon to conduct more research. It is expected to play a major role in NASA's Artemis program after 2024. While the project is led by NASA, the Gateway is meant to be developed, serviced, utilized in collaboration with commercial and international partners like Canada, Canadian Space Agency, Europe, European Space Agency, and Japan, JAXA. So that's all, guys. See you in my next video. Bye.